Hey, how's it going? Let me turn this up and clear my throat. Sorry about that. How is everybody doing? Y'all already know the deal. If you could drop a number one in the comment section, let me know that you can hear me. I'm not just talking to myself, although I do advocate talking to yourself and answering. Okay. I keep myself entertained all the time doing it. I hope everybody's doing well tonight. Thank you for those ones, Brandon and Aaron. How's everyone doing? So, y'all, welcome to the stage. I saw Emily and Indy, and I don't know if Tori's in here, but welcome everyone to the stage. I do appreciate y'all being here to help hold the sofa down and keep the cushions fluffed and me in line and all that fun stuff. I hope that y'all are doing just lovely this evening. And police wife Amy, let me just y'all look at what Amy sent this. Brace yourselves. You're gonna run out and get it. Hey Shayna, and then I'll tell you about what Shayna and I just did. Okay, please up. I love this. Murder Nerd, y'all. Murder Nerd just dropped her book. Be sure and check out her channel and her book. And hold on. There, okay. So here we go. I understand, Island Cat. I appreciate you saying that. Let me know. Look at that. And then there's more. There's more. This is so sweet, Amy. I appreciate it. Wait, I'm doing upside down. Hold on. I got the green screen going, so I apologize. Wait. I'm trying to do it so it doesn't show on the green screen. Hold on. There, it's over here. I'm looking at the camera and trying to do it. Back in St. Olaf. And then Shady Pines, ma. And then hold on. My beauty has always been a curse. I completely understand, Blanche. Hey, Dreadhead, how's it going? Hey, Wampo. So, y'all, before we get into it, hey, Jenny, how's it going? So Shannon and I were just on Zoom, not Zoom. What do you call this? StreamYards. We talked to Cindy Best, who is the second. Sorry, the green screen's messing it up. She was the second wife of Carl Carlson. This is Levi's Eyes. Aphrodite Jones wrote this. Aphrodite and Cindy came on the podcast, talked to us for a good hour about the case, about life, all those things. Okay. So I have to have like the people do their thing to it and send it off. Hopefully this Sunday it will be out. If not, it'll be out next Sunday. Pardon me. But amazing conversation. Aphrodite is so nice. Cindy was so open and nice and willing to share her story. And one of the biggest things that she said she said a lot of stuff that I was really like, wow. Is she was like, since we've done the book and I've shared my story and whatnot, she's heard from so many people, a lot of women who were like, you know what, listening to your story gave me the courage, but also like the things like recognize the situation I was in and get out of it. Right. And I thought that was amazing. And I just love that she added that in there. So be sure and look for that. It'll go on the main channel. So there's that. In the book, you can't put it down. We're reading it for our March book club. It's amazing. So, pardon me. And Peachy Keen, thank you for gifting 5 memberships. I do appreciate it. And now, okay. Dreadhead, thank you. I appreciate that. So what we're going to be doing, y'all, is we are going to be watching interrogation. This is Russell Williams. Now, this is a long one. And so I'm going to go ahead and say this. I've never watched this interrogation. I've never done a video on this. So this is going to be new to me too. I will also go ahead and preempt this by saying, obviously, I'm not at the like the true sofa where I've been on for these. I'm sitting in the uncomfortable chair. There is nowhere else to sit where I'm at. So we're going to definitely do this one. Like it'll, probably be an hour long or so. And then we'll continue it Sunday night. I wanted to like go over some headline stuff because so much has gone on with the Idaho 4 case. They just released the footage and the Delphi case. So we'll see. We might continue this one on our next Tuesdays, revisiting evil live chat is what I'm getting at. Pardon me. So there's that. Now, what I'm going to do is, first of all, we're going to be watching this off of the mob reports, or hold on, the mob reporter. Let me go over to it real quick. It's in the description below. The mob reporters channel or whatever. They have a lot of very good interrogations, full-length interrogations, stuff like this. Be sure and check them out, subscribe, and there's that. Now, what we're going to do very quickly is go over. I just pulled up essentially Wikipedia over here to kind of go down the pardon me, to go down the ABCs of the case. Now, I will say this case is, we're talking over decades, right? So there is absolutely no way that this is going to sum everything up here. But just to put everybody into context of what we're watching, and me as well, right? So Russell Williams, he's Canadian. So this is I see a lot of people talking about they're from Canada and know this case very well. He is a serial artist, if you know what I'm talking about, rapist, if you will. Also a serial murderer. He is a former colonel in the Royal Canadian Air Force. I'm just going to read the important parts. His family, he's from England. They immigrated to Canada. He studied economics, political science at the University of Toronto, Scarborough. And then, pardon me, from July 2009 until his arrest, he commanded CFB Trenton, Canada's largest military air base and a hub for the country's foreign and domestic air transport operations. So, in late January 2010, the Ontario Provincial Police, OPP, discovered evidence implicating Williams in the disappearance and death of Jessica Lloyd and suspected links to 2 other crimes that had been committed in proximity to his previous home in Tweed, Ontario. February 7th, Williams was interrogated on video by OPP investigator Jim Smith and confronted with the evidence of tire tracks and boot prints at Lloyd's house. Over the next 10 hours, Williams gave a detailed confession of the SA and unaliving of Lloyd. He also confessed to the SA and murder of Corporal Marie France Cormier. I hope I'm saying that right, and I don't have my glasses. As well as to at least 2 other cases. Subsequent investigation into Williams brought further confessions and revealed evidence of detailed notes and photographs stored at his home. Evidence showed that he had broken into at least 82 houses to steal women's and girls' undies, which later escalated to SAs and later still to the SA and unalivings. Williams was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of forcible confinement, 2 counts of breaking and entering an SA. Another 82 charges relating to breaking and entering were later added. He got 2 life sentences for first-degree murder and 2 10-year sentences for the SAs, 2 10-year sentences for forcible confinement, and 82 1-year sentences for breaking and entering, all to be served concurrently. The life sentences mean Williams will serve a minimum of 25 years before parole. Now, also, hold on, let me scroll down here. And so that's the synopsis. Also, there's a lot of photos. We're not going to look at these, so don't worry. He was into wearing these underwear and doing stuff like this. And yeah, there's some pretty unsettling pictures of them out there. Okay. So if you just do Google this man's name, you will see this. Now, pardon me. Now what we're going to do is we are going to watch this little interrogation and just see how it goes. Now, again, like I said, this is new to me. I've not watched most of the ones we've done. I've either covered or watched. I at one point was planning on doing this one, and just how it goes. Like life happens, and this, that, and the other, and whatnot. And it didn't happen. So that being said, please hold. Again. Now, when I start playing it, if you could drop a number 1 and let me know that you can hear it okay. How do I press play? Sorry, there it is.
You just have to see the rest.
The guy I was speaking with on whatever night that was Russ as well.
Oh, yeah.
And he took every number I had.
Yeah. Now they were doing some pretty thorough interviews that night. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I was
Right.
glad to see it.
I'm just going to move your gloves here. That's a little microphone, just to make sure there's nice and clear. As you can see here, everything in this room is videotaped and audio taped.
Okay, now before we get into
You've been interviewed by the police in a room like this before?
I have never been interviewed like this.
Oh, no? Okay.
No.
Let's get this set up here.
Yeah, he's cocky. Is my voice too loud right here over his talking? Not that I'm going to talk, but I don't want to scare y'all as I come up. I forget about it.
Top secret clearance.
Oh, yeah.
Look,
All right.
it's-
Well, again,
it's
Russell, I
all
appreciate you
true.
coming in an investigation
I'm
like
gonna
this.
get
And I'm
myself
sure you
up
can
in the comment
appreciate
section.
some big news, especially down Belleville way. And, you know, obviously our approach to cases like this is that we don't give up on somebody being alive until we get evidence that they're not. So because of that, we're treating Jessica's case as an emergent situation, obviously. So we're fast forwarding things that we might normally take our time with. And that's why we're here on a Sunday afternoon. So again, I appreciate it. We're going to do a pretty thorough interview today. Okay. And the reason for that is because the last thing we want is to be calling people back again and again and again. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over a number of things, and I'm going to explain what all those are to you. Okay. I'm a big coffee guy. I don't know if you're a coffee guy or not, but I didn't want to drink in front of you. So
No, I appreciate that.
all right, go ahead.
I could definitely, are they black?
Yeah, they're just black with sugar.
Definitely. I just started, probably have it a little bit.
Sorry, what? Sorry.
Gum. Just
Oh,
first
okay.
piece of gum.
Well, there's napkins there if you want to toss it or whatever.
I appreciate that.
All right. And again, like I said, this interview is going to be very thorough. But again, I have a simple rule when I talk to people. It's I'm sure you're the same way. I treat everybody with respect. I don't know. I ask you to do the same for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by going through what your rights are. Okay. Just like everybody else. Okay. Have you ever been read your rights before?
No.
I'm sure you've seen it on TV a whole bunch of times, but that's usually the American version. So
He has
I'll go over
to
with you
be
briefly,
like
okay?
absolutely
Basically
messing
in
his
Canada,
pants right now.
as you know, I'm sure, is we all have our rights guaranteed under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
Right.
Okay. Now, Russell, just to avoid any confusion, because people do get confused when they're talked to by the police, is that you're obviously not under arrest here today. Okay. Anytime you feel you want to leave here, you feel free to do so. The door's not locked. Teresa will walk you down the lobby anytime you want. Okay. If there's anything that comes up in our interview today, Russell, that you feel you want to talk to a lawyer about, you just let me know. Okay. And the reason for that is I want to explain to you exactly what's going on here. Okay. Jessica Lloyd is one of 4 cases that we're currently investigating. Okay. And essentially what's happened is over the past about 4 or 5 months, there have been 4 occurrences that, like I said, that we're looking into. 2 of those occurrences occurred in September of 2009. And very briefly, they were up in the Tweed area. They involved somebody entering 2 different women's houses in the evening hours and committing sexual acts. Okay. In November of 2009, a young lady by the name of Marie-France Como was found murdered in her home in Brighton. And we believe that there was a sexual component to that crime as well. And then most recently we have Jessica Lloyd's disappearance. Okay. So essentially, when you're looking at those kind of crimes, we're looking at a number of different potential criminal charges. All right. We're looking at issues all the way from the most serious one, which is first-degree murder, kidnapping, sexual assault, break and enter with intent to commit sexual assault, forcible confinement. Okay. And so what I want to make sure you understand, and this is what we've been doing with everybody we've been talking to, is that clearly when we find out who's responsible for one or all of those crimes, they could be charged with one or all of those offenses. Okay. Whether it's you or whether it's anybody else. Right. And that's why it's important that we make sure that people understand what they have to do and what they don't have to do when they're talking to us. Okay. So as I said before, any point today you feel the need, you want to speak to a lawyer, you let me know, and we can take you to a room where you can do that in private. Okay. Do you have your own lawyer?
I have a realty lawyer, but
okay.
No, I don't have a lawyer.
All right. If at any point you want to make that call and you don't know who to call, we have a phone list of lawyers that are available to give you advice free of charge right over the phone. Okay. So again, if at any point today you want to take advantage of that, you just let me know.
Sure.
Is there any reason you want to call a lawyer now?
Nope.
Okay. A couple other fairly simple and straightforward things that you probably understand, but again, we go over them to make sure everybody's clear, is that you don't have to speak to me today. Okay. And the reason for that is because the law considers me to be what we refer to as a person in authority. Okay. Probably similar to what you may be considered to be on the base. And because of that, I can be compelled to appear before any judge in the country, basically, to account for what takes place here today between you and I. Okay. Sure. And that's the reason why everything's recorded, because there can't be any more accurate record than that, right? So,
no, understood.
And the other thing I want to make sure you understand is that, you mentioned a second ago about Ms. Como being one of your work associates. So I don't know what's happened since November on the military side of things. But what we want to make people clear on is that if you have been spoken to by any person in authority or any police officer about any of those cases, I don't want what they may have said to you to make you feel influenced or compelled to say anything to me today, okay? Whatever you might have felt influenced or compelled to say to them earlier, you don't have to repeat it to me, and you don't have to say anything further, okay? But obviously what you do say, for the third time is being recorded, right? So,
understood. These first two attacks happened not that far from my place in Tweed. Well, the second one did.
Yeah.
We didn't even know the first one had happened, but I understand that was reasonably close as well. But the second one was very close.
Yeah.
So certainly at the time, the OPP did a door-to-door.
Yeah.
And within a couple of days, probably the same night. So I spoke with a couple of guys then.
Okay. And I'm aware of that from looking at the different cases. And essentially, Russell, in a nutshell, that's what we wanted to talk to you about. Okay. Those 4 cases are of concern to us. And, you've kind of almost hit the nail on the head about some of our issues that kind of make us want to talk to Russell Williams. Okay. Because essentially.
Okay. Sorry, everybody. Pardon me. The fact that he just calls that out right away, like right off the bat, is so fascinating. Like, to me, it's almost like he's completely trying to take ownership of being like, yeah, I'm not trying to hide anything. I mean, yeah, there's these things that happen really close to me. It's really tragic. It's just totally creepy.
Yeah, there was a connection between you and all 4 of those cases. Would you agree? Geographically,
and then I guess I drive past. Yes, I would have to say there's a connection.
Yeah, and that's why. I'll be quite frank with you. That's why things kind of evolved when the officers talked to you on Thursday night.
Okay.
We kind of went from there because when I think you discussed with them the fact that you were a colonel at the base.
I was in uniform at the time. So.
Yeah, so pretty obvious, right?
Yeah.
So essentially, then the connection with Ms. Como was made. And I believe you're a door or 2 down from one of those 2 incidents in Tweed.
3 doors down,
Yeah.
Very close, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So those are some of the issues we wanted to discuss with you.
Yeah.
Okay. So just getting back to these 4 incidents that we're talking about, maybe you could just give me a little bit of history as to your arrival in the base in Trenton. When did you start working there?
Friday on the day I was. Friday on the day I was at home most of the time. Most of the day I had a sort of a stomach flu.
Okay. In Ottawa or Tweed?
Tweed.
In Tweed? Okay.
Yeah.
So we backtrack then. So all day Friday, you're at home.
Yeah.
And then what time do you leave to go to the base to sleep there on the Friday night?
Not sure. Probably just went in for just before bed. So I probably left Tweed at between 8 and 9 or so.
Okay. And you get to the base and spend the evening there and get up for the 5:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
So we backtrack from there. When did you arrive at your home at the cottage? I want to get confused between your home in Ottawa and the home in Tweed. So
no, I had been in Tweed all week.
Yeah.
The week prior now. Yeah, I think that's the case. I was in Tweed all week. Flew Saturday. Headed to Ottawa Saturday night.
Okay. So if you didn't have the stomach flu on the Friday, what was your schedule that day?
8, really.
Okay.
What would have been my schedule? Just a standard schedule in the office.
Okay.
So office brief in the morning, a couple of meetings. can't remember what the specifics were going to be.
Okay, so Thursday night you slept at Tweed, or you?
Yep.
All right. And what did you do Thursday during the day?
Thursday during the day, I was at the base again. I think it was a fairly standard day. I can't recall exactly, but yeah, nothing. I was not flying, so I was at the base. So I would have gone in early in the morning, back in the evening again.
Okay. Do you remember what time you left the base that night?
I don't remember anything peculiar, so I would say, I don't know, probably 7 to 9, somewhere in that range.
Okay. That's when you left.
Left the base, yeah.
And what
That's a 45-minute transit. So.
45 minutes home?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, I'm not going to walk you through November, but I'm going to take you to a date that's probably pretty fresh in your mind, the day that Marie-Fran's coma.
Yeah.
Do you remember how you found out?
I do. Yeah, I was sent an email. Well, as soon as the ops staff and the base learned, they told me.
Okay.
So I got an email. I can't remember if it was late at night, early in the morning. It was certainly, I saw it, I want to say first thing in the morning, because I had just come back from Ottawa. I was in Ottawa for a set of meetings on one of the days. I can't remember what day of the week we're talking about, but yeah, no, I mean, obviously when your people gets killed, it gets your attention. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, I very much remember that coming in.
And how did you know Marie-Fran's coma?
I'd only met her once. She was on a crew I was on just after I got to the base.
Okay.
So I can't even remember. I think it was a one-day trip. I did a number of trips in Canada, transporting our troops, sort of first leg out of Edmonton. We tend to hopscotch them across until they get into theater. So anyway, I can't remember which trip it was, but we did a number of them out to Edmonton just to pick up the troops, bring them to Trenton, and then put a fresh crew on, and because we fly out and back in the same day, so pushing the edge of that. And, fresh crew on, and then continue on after a couple hour delay.
Okay. Do you know roughly when that happened?
That we were on the same crew?
The time you met her, the one time there, yeah?
It was soon after I got to the base, so I don't remember exactly, but I would say in the first couple of months, so August, September.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you got that email notifying you that something had happened.
Yeah.
Do you have any kind of a clear recollection as to how your schedule was going that week?
Well, I can't remember what day that the message came in. Just a second. No, I can't remember what day of the week, but I'm just thinking there was a whole bunch of activity spun up as a result, obviously. No, I can't remember the day of the week. I'm just trying to think through the news reports I read. No, I'm sorry, I can't remember what day that was, but what we learned after the fact was that the MPs had learned of her death, I think quite a bit after her body had been discovered.
Okay.
So I think what happened, I'm sorry, just a second. Okay. So I think, if I remember correctly, the MPs learned late that evening. Can't remember when, obviously, her body was discovered. It was probably in the news reports. But so they learned, and then they passed it to ops so they immediately passed it to me.
Okay.
The MPs work for the wing operations officer, so they go through their chain of command, and then as soon as the duty to watch officer had that information, she advised me.
Okay. So again, that particular week,
along with some others.
Right. I'm sure it spread like wildfire.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that particular week, do you have any recollection? Well, for instance, when you got the email,
Yeah.
do you remember where you were?
I was at home in Tweed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember if that was a week that you were reasonably stable in Trenton, or had you flown?
No, I had been in Ottawa. I had been in Ottawa earlier in the week for some meetings over in Gatineau for one of the, it's actually for the C-17 acquisition. I was project director when I was here in Ottawa for that, so just some follow-up stuff for that.
Okay.
So I had been here at some point in that week. Again, I can't remember how the days all fell together, but I seem to remember that I got this word shortly after having come back from Ottawa. It seems to me it was the same week.
So if we were to do a similar investigation in your background, is there anything you can think of that anybody may have misinterpreted, or anything in your history that somebody might say Russell Williams
Absolutely
did this?
No.
Okay.
Be very boring.
What's that?
It'll be very boring.
All right, because essentially that's what I'm looking at. Is that you seem like a very intelligent person, and I think you can see how a surprise like that would certainly set off some alarm bells in our investigation, right? Okay. So the next thing we need to cover off is, I'll just ask you this straight out. Given the types of crimes we're investigating, do you get much chance to watch television shows, CSI, things like that?
I do watch, I prefer Law and Order, but I do watch CSI occasionally, yes.
Okay. So you have an idea of, obviously, the forensic capabilities, things like that are out there. What would you be willing to give me today to help me move past you in this investigation?
What do you need?
Well, would you be willing to supply things like fingerprints, blood samples,
Sure.
things like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Footwear impressions?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that's what we're gonna ask you to do.
Okay.
All right. Now we have a process we have to go through to do that.
Okay.
And for the blood sample, I don't take the blood sample. We have specially trained officers that are trained to do that.
Okay.
I'm going to step out and make sure they're still available.
Can I assume you're going to be discreet?
It's possible. Yeah.
Because this would have a very significant impact on the base if they thought you thought I did this.
Well, bottom line, Russell, that's one of the reasons we're here on a Sunday afternoon.
Okay.
The military certainly be of great assistance to us, especially in relation to Miss Como's investigation. So that's certainly one of the things that went into our decision to give you a call at home today and see if we could deal with this today.
Okay.
So, okay.
Because it's tough to undo the rumor mill once it gets started. But I appreciate that.
Okay. Now that you've had some time to, I know we've been throwing a lot of things at you here, but now you've had some time to think about things. Is there anything that you're concerned about that buccal swab matching in any of those 4 residences? Is there, I guess, let me explain what I'm getting at here, Russell, okay? This is a significant investigation, as you can well imagine.
Yeah.
That DNA is going to be significant in our investigation, both quite possibly to help you, quite possibly to help us.
Understood.
I don't know yet. I don't know what the result is yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go back to the example I gave you because it's a very similar issue, I think. And you talked about the idea of discretion here. Okay. Mm-hmm. You talked about the idea that I think hopefully you appreciate the fact of how we approached you here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And essentially, we have no issues with that. Okay. We talked recently about the whole idea of any unusual sex acts in your history. Mm-hmm. But another thing that can often happen in cases like this is that people become concerned about things like extramarital affairs, mm-hmm. Indiscretions along those lines. Mm-hmm. Is there any contact that you may have had with any of those 4 women that you may not want your wife to be aware of? Anything like that we should know about to try and explain why, if your DNA is found, it would help us understand why it may be there?
Absolutely not.
Can you think of any reason why we would find your DNA in any of those residences? Let's focus on, well, for instance, I believe, let me just check the name there, make sure I got the right address. Talking about the house that was just a couple of doors down from you there in Tweed.
A couple of doors down was
the,
Lori. I don't know her last name. I don't know.
Mazzacati?
I don't even know what her last name is, but there's the woman down the road, 3 doors down.
Yeah.
Her name is Lori. I don't know her last name.
All right, let me just make sure we're on the same page here. My understanding is she lived at 76 Cozy Cove. Yeah, so she would be the second one, the second incident on your road there.
Yeah.
A couple of doors down. Ever been in her house?
No. We met her once, I think the first summer we were there, so in 2004.
Okay. And that's what I'm getting at. Again, this is a credibility issue, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to come and see you 2 weeks from now and say, Russ, our CSI people went in that house. And are you familiar with how DNA works?
I think broadly, yes. I would guess so.
One of the challenges that we have in 2010 with DNA is it's become so precise that I guess the best way to explain it is I can think back 15 years ago when I started in violent crime investigation.
Yeah.
For us to get a DNA match, the sample we had to find was, probably would have filled half of one of these cups.
Okay.
Because they destroy so much of the sample in the testing.
Okay.
Essentially, DNA has become more and more precise to the point where when you and I walked in this room earlier today, we could have sat down, talked for 30 seconds, walked out. CSI officer could have come in 3-4 days from now, did some swabs here, and he would have found your DNA and my DNA, and probably a lot of other people's DNA.
Sure.
A little bit gross to think about, but essentially, as we talk, a little bit aspirate comes out of our mouth that contains our DNA, our bloods, or our skin cells contain our DNA, and that's what I'm getting at. If you were ever in Lori's residence, quite possibly, quite innocently, your DNA could be in that residence. Has there ever been a time you've been in there?
No.
Okay. What about the other lady down the road on?
I hadn't even heard that name, so no, I don't actually know who that was.
Okay. Have you ever visited Marie France Como at her residence?
No.
Okay. All right. So you're quite positive there would be no reason why your DNA would be in any of those 3 locations. Okay. Did you know Jessica Lloyd even in passing for any reason?
No, I didn't hear her name till it was on the news.
Okay. And the reason I'm asking that is because I know you were asked that question on Thursday night, and sometimes what we find, and again, this is one of those situations that can sometimes cause us to get in a lengthy investigation as somebody that maybe doesn't deserve it. But what can happen sometimes is somebody gets stopped by the police like you did, and they get asked that question, and people, when they're stopped by the police, they can be nervous. Okay. So they blurt out an answer, and then they start driving away, and they go, oh, why did I do that? Because the problem is that once they get asked again, then they feel compelled to maintain that answer for fear that if they change their answer, somebody could find it. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Okay. So I want to make sure that's not happening here. I don't care what you said to the officers on Thursday night last week. If there's any communication or contact between you and Jessica Lloyd, you've seen her picture, right, around town?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Ever seen her before?
I don't. No, I would say I have not.
Okay. All right. And you mentioned something about doing some renovations at your property in Tweed there. I think you said something earlier about tearing up carpet. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
Oh yeah.
Okay. When did all that happen?
In 2004 or 5.
Okay.
Well, I took your advice and went and Googled Russell Williams lingerie pictures, and I'm not sure I'll be the same. Quite the little collection he had amassed. I can only fathom what they had to say at the base when those came out. I mean, that's insane. And the thing this whole time, he's like, oh, my reputation. I'm like, yeah. Oh my God, that's crazy. Okay, here we go.
Any recent renovations?
No.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure I'm covering all the bases here. Okay. What kind of tires do you have on your Pathfinder?
I think they're Toyo.
Okay. Do you know the brand name or sorry the
I think that
make?
is I don't. Sorry, the make is Toyo.
Yeah.
I don't know the model.
Okay. See, I'll read this off to you, see if it rings a bell. Ever heard of, does Toyo Open Country HTS
That sounds
make any
right.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay. When did you have those tires put on your Pathfinder?
Well, it's the second version we've had of them, so I think it might have been this past fall. They replaced other ones we had on the same.
Okay.
Well, Toyo, I can't say that they were exactly the same model, but our dealership here in Ottawa says they're very popular for the Pathfinders.
Okay.
And they were good. They lasted a long time.
All right. I've had I think you were talking about the whole idea of the MPs helping us with our investigation stuff like this. You have the same system as we do at our headquarters with the swipe cards.
Mhm.
One of the things one of our investigators did is they made a call while I was talking to you there because we were trying to work through that week of the 23rd of November.
Okay.
23rd being the Monday, 24th being the Tuesday.
Okay.
What they've told us is that, and I want to make sure I get this right, is that on the 23rd, your swipe card was being used at the base. Okay.
Okay.
On Tuesday, 24th, there was no use of your swipe card.
Okay.
And then on the following days, the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there was what appeared to be average activity of your
Okay.
swipe card in the base. Does that make sense to you?
It does. That says that I was in Ottawa on the Tuesday.
Okay. Do you remember where in Ottawa you were?
Yeah, I was in Gatineau with, as I said, meeting about the C-17.
Okay. Now, again, I want to be fair to you here. We're going back 2 months.
Yeah.
Are you sure that would have been the day you were in Ottawa?
Well, only because I wasn't at the base.
Okay.
So I can't remember, honestly, that's the day I had the meeting in Ottawa. But if I wasn't at the base, it was because I was here.
Okay. Now, if that is the day you had a meeting in Ottawa, do you remember being at the base on the Monday, the 23rd, and swiping your card in and out? Do you remember what you would have done that evening to get to Ottawa for that meeting? Like, would it be...
I drove to Ottawa in the morning of the day of my meeting. So if it was the Tuesday, then I would have left Tweed. It was a very foggy morning.
Okay.
That morning. And I drove in that morning.
Okay.
So I would not have been at the base the day I was in Ottawa because the meeting started at 8:30 or something.
Okay. So you leave the base, you would have went home to your residence in Tweed.
Yep.
And then you left Tweed in the morning and drove up to your meeting in Ottawa.
Yep.
Okay. You leave the meeting in Ottawa is a daytime meeting, evening meeting, or do you remember?
Yeah, it was a daytime meeting, finished, I don't know, mid-afternoon or so.
Okay.
We had lunch and then finished. I think my wife and I had dinner because she was here for work, and then I headed back.
Okay. Well, these are the kind of things I'm trying to draw out here. That's helpful to us. Do you remember where you had dinner?
Well, I don't remember exactly the restaurant, but it was in Westboro because that's where our house was being built at the time. So we had dinner, in a restaurant that we would expect to be able to frequent once the house was finished.
Okay. Remember how you paid?
One of us would have paid by MasterCard. I think.
Okay. Are you sure about that, or?
Pretty sure. That's normally how we pay for meals.
All right.
Can't remember if it was me or my wife that paid, but one of us.
Okay. And do you remember which restaurant it was again?
No.
Okay. All right. And you see what I'm getting at, right? I mean, that can be very helpful for us because if we can track that issue, right? We can put somebody paying for a meal at a location.
I was meeting with 15 people or so that day. So.
Okay. And what time did the meeting end?
I would say between 3 and 4.
Okay. And are you sure that that's the same day you went out with your wife?
Well, I think so. Yeah, because she was here and I think that was the day we went to this restaurant in Westboro, yes.
Okay. You finished dinner, and do you remember what you did that evening?
I would have driven back to Tweed.
Okay. And you would have, now, again, I know we're talking 2 months ago here, but do you remember specifically having dinner and then driving back to Tweed, or do you remember, are you just guessing here?
No, I'm not really guessing. I mean, I believe that this night at this restaurant was following the meetings in Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
And I, kissed my wife goodbye and headed back to Tweed to go to work the next day.
Okay. All right. The tires that you have on your truck, right? The reason I asked you about that is there any time, I mean, you recall where you were stopped by the officers there?
Yes.
Okay. Did they explain to you what the significance of
that was her house.
That was her house.
Yeah.
Okay. So you remember that location?
Yep.
Do you remember what the crossroad was, or?
I don't think there was a crossroad. It's sort of just on the south end of 37.
Okay. When you get stopped at that location, has there been a time in the recent 1 or 2 weeks that your vehicle has left that road for any reason whatsoever? Have you driven into a field with your vehicle at all? For any reason you can think of?
No.
Okay. Because I want you to rack your brain here. This is important. So, is there anything you can remember doing that would have caused you to drive off the road at that section of roadway?
No, that's my early. That's the early part of the highway, and just head north. It's about 30 minutes from there to. Probably 20 from there to my house.
Okay. Would it surprise you to know that when the CSI officers were looking around her property, that they identified a set of tire tracks to the north of her property? Looks as if the vehicle left the road and drove along the north tree line of Jessica Lloyd's property. Okay. They took they examined those tire tracks. And they have contacts in the tire business. Obviously, tire tracks are a major source of evidence for us.
Sure.
Shortly after this investigation started, they identified those tires as the same tires on your Pathfinder.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. One of the other things that they do to try and identify the type of vehicle.
He's gonna go pancake face.
Well, they do two things. They talk to witnesses. Okay. There was a female police officer that actually drove by that location that evening and recalls seeing an SUV type vehicle in the field up to the north of Jessica Lloyd's house, consistent with a Pathfinder. Okay. Could maybe consistent with other things, but consistent with a Pathfinder. And they what they also do to try and identify the type of the vehicle is they look at what they call the wheelbase width, okay? Because different vehicles, different makes, models have wheelbase width. So they can take those two sets of tire tracks, measure the distance between them, okay, and determine what the width is.
Sure.
And then they can enter that into a vehicle database, and it will spit out the types of vehicles, okay? Your Pathfinder's wheelbase width is very, very close to the width of the tires that were left in that field, okay? Do you have any recollection at all of being off that road?
No, it was not off the road, no.
Okay. All right. Russell.
He ain't chewing no gum now, is he?
Is there anything you can think of? Let's go talk about Marie-France Como for a minute, okay? Is there any reason at all you can think of that during our investigation, obviously we're searching computers, things like Blackberries, right? Electronic devices, looking through houses for things that are in handwriting, written notes, diaries, things like that. Now, I'm not at liberty to tell you what the content was, but is there any reason at all you can think of why Marie-France Como would have specifically referenced you in some of her writings?
Not at all.
No?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. Is there anything that she ever said to you that led you to believe that there might be something more than a passing interest with her towards you?
Not at all. No, we spent, one flight together talking. I'd go back occasionally and talk. No, if that's the case, that's very surprising.
Okay. All right. You have any questions for me right now?
No.
Okay. I'm just going to step out and see how things are going. Okay. I mean, it is a Sunday, but there's probably 60, 70 people working on this file. So there's a lot of things happening.
Sure.
So let me go out and see what's happening, and then I'll come back in and we'll hopefully continue. Okay. I told you when I came in here that I'm going to treat you with respect, and I've asked you to do the same for me. We talked about the whole idea of how we've approached you here. Okay. The trying to be as discreet as possible. Okay. But the problem is, Russell, is every time I walk out of this room, there's another issue that comes up. Okay. And it's not issues that point away from you. It's issues that point at you. Okay. And I want you to see what I mean. All right. This is the footwear impression of the person who approached the rear of Jessica Lloyd's house on the evening of the 28th and 29th of January.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, I want you to keep in mind that this is slightly smaller, okay, in scale. Okay.
Okay.
All right. That's not to scale. The footwear is actually bigger.
Okay.
If you look here on the ruler, you'll see that 1 inch is just slightly smaller than an actual inch. Okay. But this is the way it prints off on the computer.
Yeah.
I'm going to move this over so you can see what I mean. All right. Essentially, when you're dealing with footwear impressions, we have a gentleman on the OPP who's basically world renowned. His name is John Norman. And essentially, with footwear impressions, you're in a situation where you're pretty much in the area of fingerprints. Okay. And essentially, what we're talking about here is, especially when you start adding in other pieces of information that support an investigative position.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a photocopy
He's
of
cooked.
the boot that you took off your foot.
Yeah.
Just a little while ago. Okay. Now, I'm not an expert in footwear impressions, so I rely on the experts. Footwear impressions are very much like fingerprint comparisons. Okay. You take a look at this print, and again, this is one print. This person walked through. There's several different prints to compare. So we're going to get features off of one print to compare, features off another print to compare.
Yeah.
These are identical. Okay. Your vehicle drove up the side of Jessica Lloyd's house. Your boots walked to the back of Jessica Lloyd's house on the evening of the 28th and 29th of January. Okay. You want discretion. We need to have some honesty. Okay. Because this is getting out of control really fast, Russell. Okay, really, really fast.
Out of control. I love that. Oh my God. What do you say? He doesn't know what to say. He's smoked. He knows he
Getting
is.
beyond my control.
I love that. This is
Right, I
getting
came
out of
in here
control really fast.
A few hours ago, and I called you the way I called you today because I wanted to give you the benefit of the doubt. But you and I both know you were at Jessica Lloyd's house, and I need to know why.
He's checking his pictures. Y'all hold on. Yeah, Prince William does look good with his shaved head.
I don't know what to say. That's
Well, you need to explain it because this is the other problem we're having, Russell. Okay. Again, these decisions are made by me. Right now, there's a search warrant being executed at your residence in Ottawa. Okay. So your wife now knows what's going on. There's a search warrant being executed at your residence in Tweed, and your vehicle's been seized. Okay. You and I both know they're going to find evidence that links you to these situations. Okay. You and I both know that the unknown offender mailed on Marie.
Sorry, I had to pause. Okay, even I'm nervous at this point. Okay, like there's nothing you can say here, right? Even if they're bluffing, what he's done. I think he knows he's done. How would you not know you're done?
Transcomo's body is going to be matched to you, quite possibly before the evening's over. Okay? This is a major investigation. The Center of Forensic Science is on call 24 hours a day helping us with this. Your opportunity to take some control here and to have some explanation that anybody is going to believe is quickly expiring. Okay? We're applying, the investigators now applying for a warrant to search your office. Right? These aren't decisions that we can say yes or no to. This is a practical steps in an investigation like this. And Russell,
I would have thrown up if I was him. I would literally be barfing, projectile vomiting right now if I was him. Like, I think I would just pass out.
Russell, listen to me for a second, okay? When that evidence comes in, when that DNA match, when that phone rings and somebody knocks on this door, your credibility is gone, okay? Because this is how credibility works, all right? And I know you're an intelligent person and you probably don't need to hear this explanation, but I also know your mind's racing right now, okay? Because I've sat across a lot of people in your position over the years, okay? The bottom line is that as soon as we get that piece of evidence that solidifies it, DNA, okay? As soon as the expert in footwear impressions, the expert in tire impressions calls and says, yes, I've examined those and they're a match, it's all over. Because as soon as that happens, where's your credibility? Where's your believability? You're just another, and again, don't take this wrong, okay? But you can see if you step outside this room in your mind and imagine how people are going to view you, okay? If the truth comes out after the clear evidence is presented to you, when you finally go, okay, I'm screwed now, what are we going to do?
Make a pancake face.
Russell, you know there's only one option. What other option is there?
What's the option?
Well, I don't think you want the cold-blooded psychopath option.
That one's going to be hard to get away from.
I might be wrong. Okay, because don't get me wrong, I've met guys who actually kind of enjoyed the notoriety, got off on it, got off on having that label. Bernardo being one of them. I don't see that in you. If I saw that in you, I wouldn't be back in here talking to you, quite frankly. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you got me fooled. I don't know.
I bet you his biggest worry is his pictures. He doesn't care about the victims, nothing. He's not worried about that. He's worried about them seeing him in those. It's
and it can have
unmentionables.
A bad ending where Jessica's parents continue to wonder where her daughter's lying. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's a huge search still underway, and it'll continue. It'll continue until her body's found.
Come on, Russell.
That might even happen tonight, for all I know. Once that happens, then I don't know what other cards you would have to play.
I mean, he's thinking as hard as he can. He's like, do I just go ahead and say it?
What are we going to do?
Russell. Russell. I like the way he whispers his name. Welcome, Matt. Come on, Russell. Russell's basically like, he's flashing through his life.
What are we gonna do?
I think he wants to cry.
Call me Russ, please.
Okay.
That's so
What are
interesting.
you gonna do, Russ?
I mean, his life is over with in his world. I mean, obviously it is, but you know what I'm saying?
Is Jessica somewhere we can find her easily? Like, is this something where I can make a call and tell somebody to go to a location and they're going to find her, or is this something where we have to go and take a walk? Which direction are we heading in here?
You know, I personally am scared to death for no reason. I mean, it's like we're there in the room. Like I'm contemplating life decisions and Russell's life decisions for him. This is so crazy. But he's just sitting. I think he's really just looking like his life is flashing before him. Like he's done.
Russ,
Russell.
maybe this would help. Can you tell me what the issue is you're struggling with?
He doesn't even want to talk. I think his voice is going to crack. This is crazy. I'm afraid, Shayna. I mean,
What's the issue you're struggling with?
because it's almost like you just have to at this point just be like, I'm done. It's like it's all come to this, and he knows that they've got him. He knows they got him. Come on, Russell. He wants to say something so bad.
It's hard to believe this is happening.
Why is that?
Go on, Russell. Come on. We're right on the edge of the cliff. Just take a little step forward and jump into the lake.
Why is it hard to believe?
He's probably thinking everything from his wife to I was gonna
It's hard to believe.
thank you, Sherry.
Whose decision was it? And we're going to find out the answer to this anyway. But whose decision was it to issue the directive to the base personnel that nobody had to speak to the police and to seek legal counsel before they were questioned?
I don't think that was
My understanding, that direction came from somebody that reports to you. What do you think they're going to say, Russ?
No.
What do you think they're going to say? All right, and let's step back for a second here, okay? I really don't think it benefits you or makes you look any better to start debating the little issues.
No,
Okay.
but that is news to me.
Okay.
I have a legal officer that reports to me.
Yeah.
Who may have given that direction.
Okay.
But that's the first time I've heard it. If that's true, that's the first time I've heard that.
All right, and that may be the case, but how does it look? Right. We're not even dealing with something that's really even evidence because it's not needed. I mean, when you have DNA and all this other stuff, that's not even.
What
really
was the
an issue.
direction?
I don't recall, but it was something along the lines of telling the people on the base that they weren't required legally to speak with police and they should seek legal counsel before they decide to speak. But
well, if that was actually said, it would not have been to the base at large. It may have been to the individual, the boyfriend who was the suspect.
okay, my understanding, it went out to all personnel.
No, absolutely.
Maybe no, only under your command. I don't know.
It didn't.
Okay, that's
I
fine.
didn't ever see it.
That's fine. Now let's get back to the issue. What's that?
So you talk about perception. My only two immediate concerns from a perception perspective are what my wife must be going through right now.
Yeah.
And the impact this is going to have on the Canadian forces.
Where do we go?
I mean, but also notice he doesn't ever say
Is there anything you want from me?
anything about the victims.
Is there
I
anything
wouldn't
you want me
expect
to
him to.
explain? Is there something missing that you're struggling with that I can shed some light on for you?
I'm struggling with how upset my wife is right now.
Russ, what are you looking for?
I'm concerned that they're tearing apart my wife's brand new house.
So am I. But if nobody tells them what's there and what's not, they don't have any choice. Computers will be brought to Microsoft in California. They'll be picked apart. You can't erase things from computers. It doesn't happen. I'm sure you've seen that. I'm sure that's pretty common knowledge these days. It just doesn't happen. They sell programs that to try and help people clean their computers of stuff, and our guys are pulling that stuff out all the time. The FBI is pulling that stuff out all the time. This investigation will end up costing no less than $10 million. Easy. And they will say no to nothing. Any request this major case manager makes on this case, they've already been told it's approved. Don't even bother asking.
Thank you, Tammy. This is the most stressful one that we've watched so far. It's interesting to see.
What am I doing, Russ?
It's interesting to see when, mind you, this is clearly
I put my best foot forward here for you, bud.
edited, where it's not like a Sherry or a Susan.
I really have. I don't know what else to do to make you understand the impact of what's happening here.
You know, these ones where they run in circles, like this dude's just like completely going defeated.
Did we talk?
I want to minimize the impact on my wife.
So do I.
So how do we do that?
Well, we start by telling the truth.
He's ready. Yeah, the investigator, I'm sorry, the interviewer, the way he just starts us off with almost like a, we already know this and this is how this is going. Like he just really like almost like creates the environment where
Okay.
you don't have a choice but to tell him the truth. Like it's the best decision to make.
Get a map.
Is she close to where she lives? I've got maps of that general area. Which town is she near? Why don't we start there?
I'm not sure if you give me a map of that covers Caladar down to the highway and over to Tweed and south. I'll show you.
Let me see what I got here. I might have something. Is she
This
inside,
is
outside?
crazy. Man, this is wild. Yeah, he's still just like,
It's probably the biggest area I have there, Russ.
You need more. You need a real map.
So where am I going on here to get to her?
In this block here.
Okay. So you're pointing to.
A detailed map of that area and I'll show you where she is.
Okay. Is she close to a road?
Yep.
All right. Is it something where is she buried, or is she somewhere where if you walk there you would fairly easily see her?
It's here.
Okay. So she's south of 7, east of Tweed,
Mhm.
west of 41.
Mhm.
And what's this road here?
Not sure.
Neither am I. Okay. I'll be right back, okay? Do you want any water or anything?
Sure.
Okay, I'll be right back.
you know, I feel like at some point he would have to be, I would
How
think,
long
but
has she
maybe
been there
not.
for?
A little over a week.
Was it fairly quick from the time she left?
Friday night.
Friday night?
Yep.
So where was she between Thursday night and Friday night?
In Tweed.
With you?
Yep.
How long was she alive for?
Almost 24 hours, not quite.
Russ? You're doing the right thing here. Okay.
Well, again, my interest is in making my wife's life a little easier. And
Okay.
her family as well.
We share that
But
interest.
there's no, your time in Ottawa is wasted, really. I'll tell you where the Emerson cards are.
Where are they?
They're in the house there, but
In Ottawa?
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
Some in the camera bag, which they would have found in my office.
Mhm.
And when you walk into the office on the left side, there's a desk of drawers, set
Okay.
of drawers, like a filing cabinet, wooden, IKEA. In one of the top 2 drawers, and there's a plastic divider.
Yeah.
And there's inside there are 2 memory cards,
Okay.
which are blank, but I'm sure they can be
And whose images are on those cards?
well, I've erased them, but I expect you'll be able to draw images of Jessica and I.
What about Marie?
There may be images on there as well.
And the 2 women from September?
Yep.
Okay. Do you have those images stored anywhere else?
Yeah, there are 2 hard drives in the house in Ottawa. I can draw you a little picture if you like.
Sure. Do you want to do that now while I'm
Sure.
getting them out? Okay.
God, this is crazy.
Want anything to eat or anything?
You better get it now.
Leave that with you. Okay.
But notice also he's like, it's almost like with contempt where he's like, my only concern is making sure like my wife or whatever, which, okay, I get. But like you would have slid in something about the victims to seem a little bit more at least
But I do
human.
want to talk to you, Jim.
It's almost like he probably is angry in his world
That's the plan.
because he's
Okay.
caught.
I'll be right back.
I wonder if he feels any shame, like being in this environment with this officer or detective, what do they call whatever he is, investigator. Like this part right here,
You make
like
it up there.
the way he's looking down, like yeah, you might see some. It's like, was there any sense of shame? I don't think he has regret, like regretting that it,
Here
he
we
got
go.
caught.
Somebody running around looking for an actual map, but I did the same thing with the Google
that's
Maps.
true, Jenny.
Just have to blew them up a little bit more. This is the biggest of the area.
Forgot about Israel Keys, murder nerd.
This might have better parameters for you. Here's tweet.
I'm also imagining, I mean, if you look at his crimes, you can kind of piece together how he probably felt about women. So that's probably why he does have this like, sense of like, I'm only doing this for my wife.
And what road is that? Carey?
Like somehow he still blames the
South
victims
of-
or something. I don't know.
Can't read that word. East Hungerford? Does that make sense? Oh, there it is there. Okay. How far off the road is she?
40 feet.
If she covered with anything?
Just throw her off to the side like garbage.
In
She's
what?
on the surface. Just
God bless her.
a gray something or other. Cover.
He probably looks at them like
Very the
garbage.
obvious question I'm going to have for you is, when they go there, and they'll be there shortly,
Mhm.
they're going to find her.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be right back.
Why is this so
Looks like you want to say
spooky?
something.
Just that this place, my wife, it's been a dream for a better part of a year, so I'm keen to get them what they need and so they can leave her alone.
Okay. We're going to do our best to keep that as low key as possible. Okay.
He's
What do
worried.
you wanna
He's
talk
worried about that house. He's worried about that house.
It's pretty wide open now. Eh?
Yeah.
What do you want to know?
Well, do you want to work forwards or backwards?
Doesn't matter.
Why don't we start with Jessica? How does that start for you?
I saw her in her house on her treadmill. Wednesday night, I guess. Then I noticed she wasn't there Thursday. So I got into the house to look around. Then
they left. Noticed she'd come home. So I went back in through the back patio door while she was sleeping. So I woke her up. Didn't hit her. She only hit her once. Friday night.
Okay.
Well, so I raped her in her house. And then I took her to the car and took her to Tweed. And spent the day in Tweed. And then I hit her as we were walking. She thought we were leaving. Hit her on the back of the head.
Okay.
Anything in particular?
Well, what did the hit on the back of the head do?
Well, I was surprised that her skull gave way. She was there and immediately unconscious. And I strangled her.
What did you hit her with?
Flashlight
In the house or outside the house?
in the house. Yeah, they'll find signs of that.
Where in the house did this happen?
In the main portion, just in front of the fireplace.
What do you mean they'll find signs of it?
Oh, there's quite a bit of blood. I hadn't expected. I'd expected to knock her out. But obviously generated a lot of blood.
What did she bleed onto?
The floor. It's just tile floor.
Did you clean it up or did you?
I wiped it up. I know it'll be easily spotted.
What makes you think that? Like, if I walked in that house right now, would I see
You
it?
wouldn't see it, not at all. But you know, the right science will show it, I'm sure.
So when that happened, did she have clothes on or was she naked? Or,
She was dressed.
so when we find her, is she going to have those clothes on too?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Marie France Como.
There was an open window in the basement of her house when she was away. I went in there a couple of nights before she came home. Looked around. I went back in there late at night when she was at home. She was on the phone in her bedroom. She actually discovered me in the basement. She was trying to get her cat to come upstairs, and the cat was in the basement had seen me and was fixated on me in the corner. She couldn't get the cat up, so she came downstairs to try and get the cat, and weren't sure why she came over to me. I guess the cat was staring at me, and she was wondering what the cat was staring at. The lights were on. So when she spotted me, I had the same flashlight. I subdued her. Tied her up, brought her upstairs. And strangled her.
Hey, simply names.
Well, more suffocated her. Some tape. Left her there.
How did you subdue her? And when you say subdued her in the basement, what did you do?
Well, I had the same flashlight, and she saw me right away. So it's just I hit her a couple of times and around her head, try and knock her out. Didn't, but she was bleeding a little bit.
Thank you, Simply. It's good seeing you.
Eventually, through a struggle, subdued her.
Okay. Any blood from that struggle?
Oh yeah. No, not a whole bunch, but a flashlight did break her skin a couple of times.
Okay. What area of the basement did that take place in?
I was hiding behind the furnace, so she spotted me right there.
Okay. Did she recognize you?
No, I had stuff on my face.
Imagine how frightening that had to have been.
So you go upstairs, and you said she suffocated?
Well, I suffocated her. I put tape on her, and I put tape on her mouth, and then I put tape on her nose and held it there so she couldn't breathe.
What kind of tape was it?
Duct tape.
Thank you, Lauren.
What happened to it?
Well, I took it with me, and can't remember what actually I did with that tape, but probably threw it in the garbage.
Did you use tape for any other purposes?
No.
Okay. Did she ever recognize you through this whole episode?
No.
What did you say you had on your face?
Just a cover for my head, just a sports pullover type, like just a little cap kind of thing.
Okay.
Just a lycra or something, and just a headband over my nose and mouth, so it covered most everything but my eyes.
Now this flashlight, where is that now?
Tweed.
In the house?
Yeah.
What kind of flashlight is it?
It's a red 3 double D. I'm not sure what brand it is, but it's a metal, one of these aluminum
It's like a big, I can't remember what brand they were, aircraft aluminum flashlights already still are. Anyway, it's a bigger one of those.
Did you take anything out of Marie France's house or Jessica Lloyd's house?
Yeah, some of their underwear.
Okay.
That's all.
And where is that?
It's in some boxes in the basement here in Ottawa, in that rec room. So we just moved in, so there are boxes everywhere. So on the same side as the furnished room, sort of the back against the wall.
Okay. What do the other boxes look like?
I think one's a scanner, the box for my scanner.
Mhm.
They're all right next to each other. So a quick look through the boxes there will find it.
Okay. How much underwear is in those boxes?
Probably 60 pieces or so. Total.
All women's?
Yeah, 60 pieces of theirs,
Of whose?
of Jessica's and Marie France.
So you took 60 pieces from between the two of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
All right. And they're in a, like when you talk about a scanner, is it a computer scanner box?
my computer scanner is up in the office and its box is down in the basement. So
Okay.
it's inside that box.
Does any of the underwear in those boxes belong to anyone other than Marie France or Jessica?
Yeah, there's some from each of the other two women.
Why don't we talk about those two women?
Mm-hmm.
So the first one happened on the 16th, and I don't know why I can't recall their names, but the lady that was lived closer to you.
No, Lori was closer to me.
Okay.
So the first one, I had just spotted her from our boat, actually. I got into the house while she was asleep. Noticed that she was alone. And just hit her with my hand while she was sleeping. Subdued her. Mostly just my weight on top of her. Had her take off her pajamas. Took some pictures. Took some of her underwear and left.
And the other woman?
Same kind of deal. Got in through the back of the house. She was sleeping in her, not in her bedroom, but in her, in front of the TV. Very much the same story.
This guy's a literal boogeyman.
Anything different about that story? I mean, pretty much the same story and exactly the same story are two different things, right?
Yeah, no, not much different at all. I did have the flashlight that time. I hit her with a flashlight. Didn't think it would knock her out. Did. So, and I subdued her with my weight. Took off her clothes, took some pictures, and left.
Why do you think these things happen? Have you spent much time thinking about that?
About why?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know the answers. And I'm pretty sure the answers don't matter.
Well, let me ask you this: did you like or dislike these women?
I didn't know any of them.
Okay.
I had met Maddie France that one time in our airplane.
Okay.
Like that makes it better.
I guess when you're going through these things, are you? Well, let's talk about Jessica because she was there with you for the whole day, right? Mm-hmm. What kind of feelings were you experiencing while you were with her that day?
He's probably afraid to say what he really feels.
Oh, she was a very nice girl.
Can you tell me why you killed her? Right. Do you know why you killed her?
Well, I think I killed her because I knew that her story would be recognized.
Her story would be recognized? How do you mean?
Well, because she knew I was taking pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So because of the two stories in Tweed, that would have been a fairly, been quite obvious.
Now, just heads up, just so you know where we're at. So the video is 2 hours and 39 minutes, and we're at 1 hour and 22 minutes. So when it gets to the 1 hour and 30-minute mark, now give or take, depending on what they're doing in that moment, that's where we're going to cut off for the evening, because I still have to go home and do all that kind of stuff or whatever. I hate to cut this one off, but I can't sit in this chair for that long, and I have to get going. But I am, as you can see, intrigued, totally sucked into this. And then we'll finish in our next live chat. So heads up. So we got 8 minutes left.
So if you didn't take pictures, what would you have done with her?
I don't know.
I mean, she's at your house, right? Well, let me ask you this. Is it 2 lived, right? And 2 died. What was the difference in your mind between?
Well, the attention the first 2 got was very much focused on, obviously, or for obvious reasons, pictures I took. So anybody else telling stories about pictures, right, would have been a fairly straight line.
Okay, but when this thing happened with Marie France, did you believe that you were already a suspect for what happened in Tweed?
No.
So what were you concerned about?
Well, because I was pretty sure that she was serving military, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would have been difficult for investigators to ignore that connection.
Yeah, makes sense. Let's go back to Jessica then. Okay. You see her on the Wednesday night. Okay. On her treadmill.
Mhm.
How do you see her?
She was in the basement, window wide open, on a treadmill. So I drove by.
Okay. Did you stop to look at the house, or how does that catch your eye as you drive by?
I was looking to see who was where. Don't know that area very well, so I was just keeping my eyes open.
Okay. So you spot her on the Wednesday.
Yeah.
Do you just keep on going, or did you stop and take a closer look that
No.
night or anything? No.
I kept going.
And you went back on the Thursday night, right?
Yep.
So you go back on the Thursday night, and you went into the house before she came home.
Yeah, she was out.
Okay.
Up with those. Yeah, she was out. Got in through the kitchen window. It's unlocked. Everything else was locked.
So you're in there doing what?
Looking around to see who lived in the house. It was just her.
And then what do you do?
Well, I left the house. And then she came home. I'd been out of the house very long. So I watched for a little bit to see if she was alone. She was. And I went in and she went back to sleep. She went to sleep.
So you go in, she's sleeping, and what do you do?
Well, I snuck up to the side of her bed, expecting to try to knock her out. She woke up, but she did as I said. So I didn't hit her.
What did you say?
Said, lie down on your tummy.
Okay.
She did. I tied her up.
What'd you tie her up with?
Some rope I brought.
So she's on her stomach. How are you tying her up?
Just tying her hands behind her back.
Okay. She got clothes on at that point?
Mhm.
What kind of clothes?
Sweats.
All right. You tie her hands behind her back, and then what happens?
And I took her clothes off.
Okay. And then what happened?
I raped her.
A rape can mean a lot of different things. What kind of sexual act took place?
Vaginal and oral.
Oral. Who was performing the oral sex?
No, me on her and her on me.
Any condoms used or anything like that?
No.
No. So and again, correct me if I'm wrong. Vaginal intercourse. Her performing oral sex on you and you performing oral sex on her.
Mhm.
Do you remember what order those things occurred in?
Yeah. I started with the oral sex. Then I raped her. And then later on, I made her perform oral sex on me.
Okay. Any kind of conversation happening when this is going on?
Yeah, a little bit.
What was being said?
Well, I threatened her before I had her perform oral sex.
What did you say?
Well, I put a zip tie around her neck. I said that I would pull it if I didn't like what she would do.
Okay. So she did what you told her to do?
Mhm.
Any issues there? Any reason to pull it?
No.
So, do you remember if you ejaculated at that point or at any point?
Not at that point, but later on.
So the oral sex finishes, and then what happens next?
Well, I continued to rape her, and I had her put on some of her underwear. Took some pictures, lots of pictures. And then got her dressed, walked back to the truck.
At what point did you decide that she was going to leave with you?
I'm not sure. That wasn't necessarily always the plan. But at some point, I was there for three hours, 3 and a bit.
Okay, y'all. Where this is, this is horrifying. Oh my God. This is pure evil. This is pure. I mean, first of all, so we're going to basically, so just, spoiler, we're going to end it here. I'm going to just get some thoughts on, we're going to trauma bond for a minute over this. And then, like I said, so today's Thursday. Saturday morning is the members Patreon live chat, 9:00. Sunday night will be like the kind of catch up on headlines type stuff for the public channel. And then Tuesday we'll finish this off. Okay, several thoughts. First of all, yes, the interrogator is pure genius, right? I mean, the way he has walked this man into this and extracted everything and just wrapped it up and gotten him to do this and that. So rarely do we see a confession like this, right? So rarely do we see somebody just bringing in all this information to the thing. Also, a glimpse into evil. Okay, listen to the way this dude talks and the things that he doesn't say, right? And like we talked about earlier, whatever. Oh, I don't have the puppies here with me. I'm not at the house. I'm not over at Matt's. I'm sorry, y'all. Definitely we need the puppy camp. I don't have them here though. So where I'm at, no blinds, no nothing. It's dark. It's the woods. I'm like, was not every single thing that this dude talked about, literally the boogeyman behind the shower curtain type stuff? You all know, when the dogs bark, if you got a cat and it starts meowing at somewhere weird, think twice. Think twice. I mean, okay, so Yeah, the interrogator, amazing, genius. Secondly, the way that this dude talks, yeah, it's like you can tell the way that he views women. You could tell that he baseline does not like women, right? But number two, like the way he's talking about the victims, where he's like, oh, this is for my wife, and the way he makes his decisions if they're going to live or die, and obviously just the fact of you're doing these things that he's doing to women in general, right? But I guess what throws me with people like this is, I guess at some point when I'm like, oh, they're caught, I guess I have this anticipation that at some point they would look back with realization of what they did, with it being evil or whatever. And I guess that's where I'm like, maybe, I don't know, naive or just dumb or something. I don't know, where it's just like, Paul, there's a reason he did this. Like, he's not going to just all of a sudden turn around and be like, golly jeepers, that was a bad thing to do. And yeah, Carol says no remorse. I think that's part of the shocking thing, is the complete lack of remorse. That whole thing they were just talking about, I put a zip tie, what zip ties are, right? Putting that around her neck. That is horrifying. That is, and talking about the flashlight, she thought we were leaving, and I hit her on the head, and I was surprised her skull gave way. But side note, y'all, when he said that part, do you know what I thought about immediately? Jean Benet, remember the flashlight in her head, this fracture? I was like, okay. Now, granted, I don't know what kind of flashlight this is or whatever, but I just immediately thought about that. The way, the tension when he was making the decision to, when he was like, Russell, where are we at? Russell, the way he would do that when he got quiet, and the way Russ was just sitting there, like making that decision of almost like there's nowhere else to go. He's probably running through everything he can do to talk his way out of this and whatever, and he can't. And it's like, here we go. You got me. He's more concerned about the house. My wife, that's like her dream home and all this. And I'm like, but you're off doing the most grotesque, horrifying things to these women. But now you're concerned about your wife in the house. Obviously, I mean, it's because he got caught, right? The one where he was talking about where she was on the treadmill, think about how many times you're doing something. I'm not trying to freak people out, but think about how many times you're doing something in your house. Like, she probably had a long day at work. She's on the treadmill. She's watching. She's going over stuff. No clue in her world that a monster is watching her and plotting her demise. Right? Think of how many times you're in your house doing something, just like, whatever. Pardon me. And somebody could be watching you. Oh my God. And then going down to the basement of all places. And then, yes, there actually was someone in the corner in the basement. Oh my God. I cannot. Oh my gosh. And I don't know why. I mean, this one had me bent out of shape, y'all, especially in the beginning where he was like trying to, like, that silence where he was trying to decide to confess or whatever he was doing, right? I mean, I was pressed over here, y'all. Yeah, this is a completely different vibe because, like, usually obviously, and if you follow me, like, usually, and I'm not saying I love that I can't wait to finish this one, but like, you see where we like do things like, Sarah Boone and what's it, Stephanie Lazarus, and like these kind of over the top ridiculousness. This is like such a dark interrogation and like into the eyes of like the devil, like, evil, and just hearing how it thinks. It's so bizarre. And the way, like in the beginning, where he was like in there, like chewing his gum, like when people chew gum like that, it's like a very like confident, aggressive type thing. I don't know what it is. Like, it's just, I don't know. But he's doing that. He's man spreading, taking as much space as he can in the office. I mean, he still kind of is right now, And again, he's used to, like, his position that he has. It's, he's in charge. He's this, he's that. And so he probably thought, I'm going to come in here, I'm going to, whatever, find out what they know. Thanks, Don. I appreciate that. Yeah, the hair patch. I love that for him, and I also love that they put all of his pictures out there for him so that, like, literally, like, just shame this man, right? Because just think about, like, what he's like, waking her up next to the bed. I This is insane. Oh, yeah, see, now I wonder, what does his wife say? Like, I mean, was he a monster at home? That's what I'm curious about. Yeah, and this is why the first thing I did was paint my basement ceilings, and it's all open and cheery. Yep, 100%. Totally agree with you. His uniform was burned up good. Yeah, now what I want to do is, I mean, not right this second, obviously, but okay, Simply Neat says his wife never spoke out. So I want to go, like, obviously watch a doc on this now and see, the deep story to it, behavior panel and Jim Smith interrogation. Oh, cool. She worked a lot and wasn't home. Phew, man, I tell you what, this one was a rough. And, like, you see how, like, he won't, like, make eye contact with the interrogator when he'll say things like when they started talking about the details of the interaction that he forced upon the woman, and he won't really look up or whatever. Like, that's where I'm interpreting that as shame, but I don't know if he's capable of that, right? Like, I mean, is somebody like this capable of shame? Like, is he capable of feeling that in this environment with this investigator who he might, some kind of like masculine weird thing going on in front of another dude? I don't know. He was reliving, not shame. Oh, that's a good one, Jenny. Yeah, I don't think he has any shame. It's like, I think I want him to, obviously. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, I mean, can you imagine sitting here and confessing to this stuff to somebody? Oh my God. Yeah, Mother of Rescue says, I doubt he feels shame, probably just angry he was stopped. 100% agree with you. I definitely think he's a huge level of just being, like, PO'd, right? Almost like that anger that I'm interpreting that he's, like, giving towards these victims of his is almost like that, like it's their fault in a sense. Like, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be, as opposed to, oh, I made this choice. But again, I mean, I'm not a therapist or anything. The fact that Simply Neat says the only shame he felt was for himself, and then later days the fact that he shamed the military. Yeah, I can see it, because those are the first things he came out with: the military and his wife. Fifth Estate. Okay, I'll watch that one because I saw that kept popping up. Hey, Wicked West, what's up? Ooh, well, this one was hardcore. So, yeah, I'm gonna run. I gotta head home and stand up and stretch and listen to, like, I don't know, something like some teen, like, what do you call it? Like, some pop music, or, you know what I'm saying? Something like that on the way home to a palate cleanser is what I'm looking for. So we will reconvene on this. We'll definitely need a decompression from this one. Thank y'all. Thank you, Tori. Thank you, Emily. And thank you, Indy, for hanging out, for making this sofa a nice little fluffy place to be. I do appreciate it. And thank you, Sofa Squad, for hanging out, for the conversation, super chats, the laughs, the cries, the shocks, all the things we do here. I really appreciate it. So y'all have a good evening. Tomorrow morning's video in the main channel is about Keith Richardson's, listen to me, coming up with crazy stuff. Keith Morrison's interview with Nate Eaton. It's a short video. That's up. So thank y'all very much. I hope y'all have a wonderful evening and a wonderful Friday, and I will see y'all on the other channel in the morning.